Welcome, Algebra 2 students, to the homework out video, page 423. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. Numbers 5 through 9, we're simply using our calculator. So if you take your calculator and you hit second, that's not going to help, is it? Type second and then the LN button. This will pop up on your screen. Then type in a 5 and then close your parentheses and hit enter, and you will get this right here. Number 6, e to the third. If you will type under your calculator second, then ln, this will pop up. Then type in a 3, that's e to the third power, hit enter, and you will get this right here. Number 7, okay, if you will hit on your calculator second, the natural log, e will pop up, then an arrow, then a parentheses, then type in negative 3 divided by 4, close your parentheses, hit enter, and you'll get this right here. Number 8, with your calculator, you want to hit second, the natural ln, and this will pop up, and then type in 1.2, close the parentheses and hit enter, and you'll get this. And then lastly, number 9, you would hit with your calculator second, then the ln button, and this will pop up. Then type in 1 divided by 2, 1/2, hit enter, and you will get this right here. Okay, alright, now moving on to the more difficult problems, numbers 13 through 24. We're going to simplify all these, okay? So any e's that you have, you want to keep those in your answer, okay? Okay, we're multiplying like bases. You guys know when your base here is an e, your base here is an e. When you're multiplying like bases, write the base once and add your exponents. So your answer is e to the 6th. Do not type that into your calculator. Leave it. E to the 6th. Okay, number 14. We have 3 times e to the negative 2 times e to the 6. Because if they're all side by side, they're multiplying, correct? So we really have 3e. Now look, there's nothing to do with a 3, okay? But here you're multiplying like bases, are you not? Sure you are. So if you're multiplying like bases, write the base once, add your exponents, and you'll get a 4 right here. So your answer is 3e to the 4th. Pretty simple, guys. Number 15. Okay, here we are multiplying. Don't forget there's a 1 right here, okay? So we're multiplying this expression times this expression. Now watch carefully what to do. First of all, 1 times 4 is 4. Next, you're multiplying like bases, e into e, so you put an e here, and then you add your exponents. So x plus 2x plus 1, that would give you 3x plus 1. And there you go. That's the answer. Okay? Look it over. Make sure you understand this. Number 16. Okay, now let's just relax and think this through. We have a 1 right here in front of the e. There's a power right here. We can call that a 1, okay? Now, 1/2 cannot be reduced. Now we're dividing like bases. Here's an e, here's an e. What if I taught you when you're dividing like bases, write the like base up top in the numerator and take your top minus your bottom, so x minus 1. And there you go, that's the answer. Now let me explain to you what they did. It's no big deal. This is totally acceptable right here. In fact, if you want to get rid of the 1, that would be fine also. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What they did is they pulled the 1/2 out front, and they put 1/2 e to the x minus 1. That's what they did. Let me show you why it's the same thing. Okay, watch this. If you take 1/2 times e to the x minus 1 over 1, 1 times e to the x minus 1 would be this, and 2 times 1 would be this. So to be honest with you, I'm fine with either one, but our answer here is not wrong. This is the same thing as this, so either answer is totally fine with me. Number 17. dividing like bases, write the like base up top, and then subtract your exponents. X minus 4x. X minus 4x is negative 3x. Now, you guys know by now we do not want negative exponents in our simplified answers, correct? So this e to the negative 3x has to be moved down to the bottom. So we're going to pick this up right here, and we're going to move it down to the bottom like this. Now when I do that, this negative sign is gone, and now I have a positive 3x. Now we're really finished. You don't need that 1, so you can put 4 over e to the 3x. Guys, if you got to back these up and watch them more than once, make sure you do that, please, okay? But you need to understand how to do these simplifying problems, this simplification. Number 8, okay? We're multiplying 3 e's. They're all the like base, e times e times e. So when you're multiplying like bases, write the base once, and then add the exponents. So 6 plus x plus negative 2x. Well, there's no like terms for 6, so bring your 6 down. X plus negative 2x is really x minus 2x, which is negative x. So, there we go. We added our exponents. It's that simple, guys. Let me go over it again. Okay, look. We're multiplying like bases, so write your like base once. Add your exponents. So 6 plus x plus negative 2x. There's no like term for 6. And we have a positive negative. It's the same thing as negative, so really we have x negative 2x, which is negative x. 6 negative x. There we go. Moving on to number 19. Remember, when you have an exponent on the outside and we have one term on the inside, which we do, you can multiply the exponent through. So there's a 1 right here, don't forget that. So negative 1 times 1, negative 1, negative 1 times negative 3x. That's a positive 3x. Guys, we're done. You don't want this negative exponent, right? So take it down to the bottom. And it's 3 to the positive 1, or just 3. That's it, guys. I mean, you don't move the e. The e has a positive exponent. That's it. E to the 3x over 3. Okay. Number 20. Okay, same thing, guys. I have one term being raised to this power. So the exponent of the e is negative 3. The exponent of the 1/2 is 1. The entire fraction has an exponent of 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. So I have 1/2 to the 3rd power. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Pretty simple, guys. Now, 1/2 to the 3rd power is 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. That's 1/8. So now I have, because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I have 1/8 e to the negative 9. Got it? Now let's take this further. I don't want this e to the negative 9, okay? So I'm going to take it down to the bottom. So now I have 1/8 over e to the 9th. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you got it? Bring this down to the bottom. Put the 1/8 over 1 and bring this down to the bottom. That gets rid of your negative exponent, okay? Now, we never want a fraction within a fraction. So guys, you know what to do. We have 1/8 divided by, that's what this big fraction line means. 1/8 divided by e to the 9th. So 1/8 divided by e to the 9th over 1. This is really over 1 right here. Correct. So now I really have 1/8. What do you do when you're dividing fractions? You multiply and flip it. So there we go. And now we're finished. 1 times 1 is 1. 8 times e to the 9th is 8 e to the 9th. Now let's go over this again. I think most of you understood this part here. Take the 3 and multiply it through times your exponent. exponents, and we get this. And then I think most of you understood where 1/8 came from. 1/2 to the third power means 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. And I think most of you saw that I had to move this down to the bottom because I have a negative exponent, okay? So 1/8 over e to the 9th. Now here's where it gets a little confusing. Now I have 1/8 divided by e to the 9th over 1. Well, when you're dividing fractions, you multiply from the second one and multiply. Now, a lot of you might have said, Mr. Eric, that was way extra work. You could have just done this. And you're right. You could have just said, look, 1/8 times e to the negative 9, put this over 1. 1 times e to the negative 9. 8 times 1. And now bring this down to the bottom. And that's fine if you did it that way. I'm just trying to break it down in simple, small steps, okay? Watch this again if you need to. Number 21. Alright, here we go. We have this expression being raised to the second power is one term. So take your 2 and multiply it through your exponents. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 5x is 10x. The only thing left to do is simplify your 2 squared. That was probably the easiest one we've done. 4 e to the 10x. Number 22. Same thing again, guys, kind of repetitive. My power here is 1. Take your negative 4 and multiply it through. Negative 4 times 1, negative 4. Negative 4 times 0.5, that's a negative 2x. Negative 4 times 0.5x, negative 2x. Now, guys, look. You don't want any negative exponents, so we've got to put this whole thing over 1, then move stuff down. So, there's already a 1 in the bottom. We're going to bring the 10 to the 4th down. Bring the e down to the bottom. There's nothing left up top, so put a 1. And now we have 1 over, what is 10 to the 4th? Well, it's 10,000 e to the 2x. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 1 over 10,000 e to the 2x. Alright, there it is, guys, 23. Alright, now we're getting to some square roots. No big deal. This is one term, correct? Sure it is. So if it's one term, you can take the square root of each part. Now if it was 2 terms, there was a plus sign here or a minus sign here. You could not do this, okay? However, because we have one term, we can do the following. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of e squared is e. How do I know that? Well, I taught you guys this. When you're dealing with exponents, whatever the index is, you can take the power divided by the index. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the square root of e squared is e. Another way to look at it is this. E times e equals e squared. So the square root of e squared is e. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of e squared is e, and you're left over with x on the inside. You cannot take the square root of x, so that's your answer. Number 24. Okay, same thing again. This is all one term, so I can take the cube root of each part. The cube root of 64 is 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. The cube root of e to the 6th is e squared. Because e squared times e squared times e squared is e to the 6th. Okay? So the cubed root of e to the 6th is e squared. Another way to look at it is take your exponent and divide it by your index. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then we cannot take the cube root of x, so we leave that alone. And there's your answer. I really, really hope you guys are getting this. Watch these again if you need to. Make sure you're getting these, okay? Alright, let's graph 2 of these and we're finished, okay? Alright, first of all, let's graph this exponential function. First thing you do is you take your exponent and you set it equal to 0 and solve. Well, there's no solving to do. X equals 0. That's going to go in the middle of your table of values. Go up 1, 2, go down -1, -2. Alright? Now, let's go ahead and substitute these values in slowly, okay? So here we go. Let me grab my calculator real quick here. Okay, students, real quick, by the way, if you want to type this into your calculator grapher, hit the y equals button, and then you would type into second ln. This will pop up, and then type in x, then close the parentheses if you want to use your table of values. Okay? Alright, here we go. Let's substitute 2 in for x first. So that's 2, then second ln. This pops up, and then hit 2, and then close your parentheses. Alright, and you would get, let me scroll down here. You will get 14.8. Next, let's substitute 1 in for x. So now I have a 1 right here. So I type in 2, then second ln e, then my 1, and you will get out 5.4. Next, I'm going to substitute 0 in for x, 0, and that one you can do in your head, because anything to the 0 power is 1, okay? So e to the 0 power is 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. So that one's pretty simple, alright? Moving on to negative 1. So now we're going to, with your calculator, hit 2, then second ln, and this will pop up, then type in negative 1, and you will get out 0.74. And then substitute negative 2 right here, and you will get out 0.27. Alright, so far we've got our table of values ready. Now, don't forget, every exponential function has a horizontal asymptote. Notice that there's no number being added or subtracted to this, so we can put plus 0. So your horizontal asymptote is going to be at 0. Okay, so here we go. Let's plot our points. Over 2, up 14, so that's way up here. Somewhere, probably somewhere up here. And then 1's going to be over at 5.4. So about right here. 0's going to be at 2. Negative 1 at 0.74. And then negative 2 at 0.27. Alright. So up it goes. And it gets higher and higher. And gets closer and closer to the asymptote. Okay. There we go. Alright, number 41. First of all, we're going to take first of all, if you want to type this into your calculator, hit the y equals button, then hit 2, then hit second ln, and this will pop up, and then type negative 1.4x, then close the parentheses, then hit plus 3. Okay, type that into your calculator if you're going to use your table of values on your calculator. Now the first thing we do is we take our exponent and we set it equal to 0, and we solve. Divide both sides by negative 1.4. X equals 0. So right in the middle of my table of values, I'm going to put a 0. We'll go up to 1 and 2, and we'll go down to negative 1 and negative 2. Okay? Now, let's be really careful here, okay? First of all, we're going to put 2 in for x. Now, for those that are not using a grapher, negative 1.4, we're putting a 2 right here, okay? Negative 1.4 times 2 is negative 2.8. So you're going to type into your grapher 2, and then your E button, and then negative 2.8. Close the parentheses, and then plus 3. Because remember, you put a 2 right here for x, because we're putting 2 in for x. And negative 1.4 times 2 is negative 2.8. Alright, and let's see what we get when you substitute 2 in for x. You get out 3.1, or 3.12 if you prefer. Now let's substitute 1 in for x, okay? So here we go. When you put a 1 in for x right here, negative 1.4 times 1 is negative 1.4. So, we're going to put negative 1.4 in here. And there we go. Okay, so now you have 2 e button negative 1.4 plus 3. If you type that in correctly, you will get 3.49 or 3.5. Now let's put a 0 in for x, okay? So now we're going to put a 0 right here. Well, 1.4 times 0 is 0. So what you have now is a 0 right here for your exponent. Alright? So we have a 0 there. Type that into your calculator and you will get 3. Alright? Or 5, excuse me, sorry, 5. Now let me show you how I got that, okay? Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. So we have 2e to the 0 power plus 3. Well, this is 1. So I have 2 times 1 plus 3. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay? Alright, moving on to the next value, which is negative 1. So now I'm going to substitute negative 1 in for x. Negative 1 right here. Well, think about it, guys. A negative times a negative is positive. 1.4 times 1 is 1.4. So now, for my exponent right here, I have positive 1.4. So I would type in your calculator 2, then your E button, then 1.4, close your parentheses, then plus 3. And you will get out 11.11. And then lastly, we're going to substitute negative 2 in for x. So right up here, we're going to put a negative 2. Now don't forget that a negative times a negative is positive. And 1.4 times 2 is 2.8. So we're going to put 2.8 in for x right here. Or not for x, for your exponent. 2.8, alright? And so here we go. I would type into your calculator 2, then your E button, then 2.8, close the parentheses, plus 3. And you will get out 35.9. Obviously, we're not going to plot that point. 35.9. Okay, now, next, we have to find our horizontal asymptote. Remember, every exponential function has an asymptote, a horizontal asymptote. Well, the number that's being added or subtracted to my exponential expression is positive 3. So I know that my horizontal asymptote is going to go through 3, positive 3. So up 3. Now my first point is 2, 3.12, right here. My next point is 1, 3.5. My next point is 0, 5. My next point is negative 1, 11. So about up here. And then obviously we're not going to plot this point here. Negative 2, way up here. So there's my nice curve coming down right here. Looks like an exponential graph to me, getting closer and closer to the horizontal asymptote, but never crossing it or never touching it. Okay? Guys, I really hope this homework help video has been a help to you. If you have any questions, never hesitate